I think this Vergil Ortiz fight is flying under the radar. What he did by going out there and beating Madrimov was nothing short of an awesome performance. And it's not necessarily because when you watch the fight, you thought, oh, wow, this is just a virtuoso type performance. He's going out there and he's blowing the doors off. These are amazing things. That's not the reason I say that it's so great. The reason I'm hyping it up, the reason I'm talking about how good it is because of the performance that he put on relative to that level of competition, and also because styles make fights. Now, look, we saw what happened with Beterbiev and Bivol. We saw what happened with the super impressive knockout of Joseph Parker. But people aren't talking about this Ortiz fight. People aren't giving it the credit it deserves. Going into this one, this was almost a 50-50 fight. Right, Vergil Ortiz, when you were looking at the odds in Vegas, he was going off at around minus 125. We had Madrimov going off at minus 105. So yes, Vergil Ortiz was considered a little bit of a favorite, but according to the traditional statistics, it was like there was really no underdog in this one. You certainly weren't getting any underdog odds on anything that was going on. And people were saying, look, this is going to really test him. This is really where we're going to see where he's at. We're really happy that he had that 12 rounds with Bohachuk. That's going to make him a better fighter. It's going to help him improve. And when this one started out, we saw Madrimov do exactly what we thought he could do to give Ortiz trouble. He was using an incredible amount of movement, moving laterally all around the ring, never setting up, never giving Ortiz, the power puncher, the aggressor, the bully, the chance to go in there and do what he wants. We were talking and we were thinking, and we were like, man, Ortiz is going to have to come into this one and use the jab. We know he's got that shotgun jab, man. It's powerful. It can freeze opponents. It sets his other stuff up. He wasn't able to get that off for rounds in the early part of this fight. He wasn't able to land with it. He stopped throwing it so much. Madrimov was moving so much that it was nullifying all of that. But as the fight went on, we saw that start to change. And Ortiz talked about it after the fight. He said, man, there were some times in this point where there were some low points. There were some times in this fight where it was very challenging and very tough. Like, can you imagine going in here for what is pretty much considered the biggest fight of your career so far, and as it's going on, you just can't get off. The things just aren't moving. This guy's moving around too much. You can't get set. You can't get your shots off. You can't look the way you want to look. Dude, and all of a sudden you're 4 rounds in. A third of a way through the fight, and you haven't been able to do anything that you really want to do yet for the most part, and this guy's able to go in here and do stuff. And it wasn't like Madrimov was in there beating him up and landing all these shots and bullying him around the ring or anything, but Ortiz wasn't able to get off. And if you want to win the fight, you're going to have to go in there and get off. But as things start to go, that fight starts to progress, you see Ortiz start to make these little adjustments. You see him start to double and triple the jab up. You see him start to be able to cut the ring off slightly more versus just following Madrimov around. You see him start to back him up, and immediately, as soon as Madrimov plants his feet and holds his position, you see Ortiz start to get off his patented combinations and start to really dig. And the other thing, man, Vergil Ortiz has some dog in him. Okay, I know there was a couple people who mentioned it as one of the indicating factors or one of the reasons that they thought that he was going to win compared to Madrimov. We just saw it more in this fight. Anybody who doubted it, you were wrong. Anybody who thought it was there, your opinion got reinforced and it just came in even stronger. Because there were times when he was just giving the nasty look after getting hit. There were times when he was just digging and going after Madrimov after landing his own shots. And he throws everything with bad intentions, man. Vergil Ortiz comes out there and he wants to end the fight at any given moment. He's throwing those punches with power, but he never got tired. Right? That's the one thing that you think about when you see a guy who's going in there and just constantly trying to get off, constantly trying to throw it 100%. He's explosive, got those fast twitch fibers. It's like, can you do that for 12 rounds? Can you do that if opponent's making you move too much? Can you do it if you have to be on the back foot versus being on the front foot? All of those types of questions come in. Man, Vergil Ortiz is a dog. He's got that fight in him. He's not going to quit. He's not going to give up. He's not going to become unmotivated during the fight just because it's not going the way that he wants early on. He's going to throw those punches with bad intentions, and when he misses, if he's not going, it doesn't matter. He's still going to be there in the 12th round. He's still going to keep biting down on that mouthpiece and coming forward. Awesome performance by him for him to be able to solve that puzzle of Madrimov, for him not to give up, for him to show that everything that he's got. You know, this is beautiful stuff that you want to see from a fighter like that. And people talked about how he was going to grow from that Bohachuk fight going into this one, how it was going to serve him well. Well, now he's going to grow from this one, man. Imagine those last 2 fights and the amount of experience and the amount of confidence that he gained in what he's able to do in that ring. So the question after this one is, what are we going to see next? Now, look, 154 is stacked. There's a lot of people in it. No surprise. Right afterwards, him, Oscar De La Hoya, a whole bunch of people, his promoter, Rick Mirrigan, all these people are talking about Terrence Crawford. Man, we want to see Terrence Crawford. Look at the performance that Vergil Ortiz put on relative to Terrence Crawford. Everyone thinks that Terrence Crawford's, pound for pound #1 in the world, and we're rightly celebrating how good that he's done and the things he's accomplished. But look at what Vergil did. Vergil went out there and took that same opponent and put out a more impressive performance, and they're trying to hype that fight up. They're trying to build it up. I get it. They're promoters, they're managers, all of these kinds of things. But guys, let's be honest with each other. We both know that fight's never going to happen. We're already hearing Crawford-Canelo. There's no way in the world, in my mind, that Terrence Crawford is ever going to take a fight with Vergil Ortiz. Even if that fight with Canelo falls through for some reason, and I hope it doesn't, but if for some reason that falls through, the level that serious talks between Crawford and Canelo, the level that puts Crawford at, the amount of money, the amount of prestige, the just moving in that type of circle when you're talking about your potential opponents, Vergil Ortiz is going to be a step down in every stretch of the imagination. He's going to be a step down popularity. He's going to be a step down in your resume. He's going to be a step down in your legacy. And he's for sure going to be a step down money-wise. Okay? And that's not to knock Vergil Ortiz. That's just talking about how good Canelo is and where he is. The man's in rarefied air. And then you also have to throw in the fact that look how big Crawford's been recently. I think we recently saw a post where he was clocking in at like 183 pounds. If he were to fight at 168, there's no way he's moving back to 154. Okay, I'm mixing these guys up, man. Crawford is no spring chicken. It's not like he's 27 years old where he's going to start bouncing around all these weight classes, moving around. Like the man wants to fight for money and he wants to fight for legacy. I don't think Vergil Ortiz falls into that. Now, all that being said, Vergil Ortiz doesn't need Terrence Crawford. I said that about Crawford and Canelo. Crawford doesn't need Canelo. If he gets it, that's great. I'm saying it about this one too. Vergil Ortiz does not need Terrence Crawford, right? We can see him go out there and there's a lot of people that he can get after. But I would love to see him get after Sebastian Fundora. Now, we've seen Fundora on the sidelines ever since he picked up that win over Tim Tszyu. People were talking about how it was going to be a fight between him and Errol Spence. Errol jumped in the ring afterwards, said he wanted to fight. We know how PBC is and them trying to make it, but Sebastian Fundora, man, he is falling victim to the PBC curse, and that is the curse of inactivity. That is the curse of not being able to get out there and practice your craft. Like, he was on the top of the mountain as far as fans and everybody else was concerned after he was able to pick up that win over Tim Tszyu. And since then, it's just been crickets. Every now and then we hear about little potential negotiations going on in the background or things that may happen. Man, that's not what we want to hear. We want to see the man in the ring. He's sitting there. He's holding one of the belts hostage. What's going on? So that's what I would like to see Vergil Ortiz get. I would like to see him step in there, get that fight with Fundora, and continue to grow from there. And another man at 154 that nobody wants to call out, nobody wants to mention, nobody wants to talk about, Charles Conwell. Charles Conwell is an absolute beast, okay? He doesn't have the huge Instagram following. He doesn't have all the buzz and this and everybody's going to be talking about. That's a man that I want to see get in there against the best in the world on 154 pounds and do work. Now, they both got the same promoter. Vergil Ortiz, Charles Conwell, they're both with Golden Boy. Does that mean the fight's going to be easier to make? Or does that mean that they're going to keep each other away? Because why would we want two of our guys to be fighting over one belt? We really want to go out there and try and have both of these guys get a belt, right? Is that the mindset that Golden Boy's taking in this one? Hey, both these guys are young. Both these guys are hot. We'll eventually see them fight, let them marinate a little bit, let them go out, do some other stuff on their own, and then eventually down the road we can match them. I have absolutely no clue, but it wouldn't surprise me for one bit if Oscar De La Hoya was like, we're going to keep these guys away from each other because right now we're really cashing in with both of them and building both of them up. And as soon as they fight each other, one guy has to lose, and that's going to immediately take away a little bit. So not sure. That being said, if Turki Al-Sheikh wants that fight to happen and he backs up the dump truck full of money, then that fight's going to happen. So let me know what you guys think. Were you as impressed with the performance that Vergil Ortiz put on in this one as I am? Who do you want to see him fight next? What do you think is going to be there for Madrimov? There's certainly no knock against him in either the loss against Crawford or the loss against Vergil Ortiz because the man, he showed himself incredibly well in both fights. Let me know what you guys think.